Baby. All right. It's about that time. Peace to the family. Peace to my comrades. And as always, smoke to the COINTELPRO boxing fan. Always. I got some people already in here. Salute to Growing with Soul. LDBC Strong. They are in the building. Let's go down. Shelton. Peace to my comrade. LDBC Strong. Patrice X30. Salute. Coach about to preach on a Sunday. Gots to love it. And we definitely going to preach. Try to get as much in as I can in the next hour and 30 minutes or so, 2 hours. Trenton Sparks. Salute. All right. Please like, please share, because we are going to celebrate a great weekend of boxing. A great weekend of boxing. On the screen, as you can see, we have Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson. And at any time, if you can't hear me, family, what I realize is when I'm doing the live and I start sharing videos with you, there is an overlay. So if any time you can't hear me, please put it in the chat. So when I do come back to the live screen, I'll know you can't hear me because I can't see the microphone when I go to the other videos. All right. Salute. Growing with Soul. I appreciate you sharing the live. Family, It is Sunday. And what better day to do a little preaching than today on this Sunday? These casual boxing fans and race fans, they had a tough weekend because they have been forced to bear witness once again that we are exactly who we say we are. I am so proud of the demonstration that you saw. If you go back and you watch the event, you go back and watch the men fighting, the Edgar Berlanga and Shiraz fight. You go and look at those brothers and sisters sitting together. Go look at Devin Haney, Richardson, Alicia Baumgartner, Clarissa Shields in the front, Brian Norman Jr. I'm just seeing all of this excellence sitting together, and you could tell, and it felt like to me for the first time in a long time, all of the Tom and Jerry disrespect our fighters showed out this weekend. Of course, we have one or two strays that are always going to be Sambos, but for the most part, our brothers and sisters came together. Let me say this. That sister Clarissa Shields, we have to support her the way she rides for us. We have to do better in supporting our ladies the way they ride for us. Because every time there is disrespect, every time we have to be on the front line, they're right there. All of our ladies, almost every single one, even the ones that just had a fight themselves, put their makeup on and they were there cheering for us. That's being on code. There's so much that I want to unpack about this weekend. But to these COINTELPRO boxing fans, because what do I always say? It is smoke for them. And you might ask the question, why do I have smoke for them? Because they are literally a threat to the sport. If it was up to them, they would not mind the sport dying just to not see black fighters do their thing. Over the last week, I almost fell for a trick. I almost allowed a group of people try to convince me that basically my eyes are not seeing what I think they are seeing, that I'm not seeing a racist from the Mexican community in boxing, from the white community in boxing, and the self-hating brothers and sisters among us do what they're doing. So I had to go back and do some research. And if you watch my last live, I said, you know what? We not crazy. We writing exactly what we see. But look how God worked. Over the last few weeks, they have disrespected us with this Tom and Jerry BS. And what it looks like is most of the brothers and sisters who are melanated won their fights. The only ones who lost were those who might have a little melanin and were going against the grain, not being on code, disrespecting Clarissa Shields for Jake Paul, Amanda Serrano. So let's get into a little boxing real quick before I start preaching. Let's go to that card on Netflix, the Taylor versus Serrano. Shout out to our ladies. Our ladies held it down. You hear me? Our ladies were fighting. So let's pull up. Let me see who fought. I wanna just focus on the three. All right, the three main events. All right, Alicia Baumgartner versus Jennifer Miranda, Shadisha Green versus Savannah Marshall, and Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. All right. So Alicia Baumgartner, she beat Jennifer Miranda. And for a woman that's been off, a fighter that has been off for as long as she's been, I think she did a great job. But I want this to be a lesson. Our fighters with that type of skill have to stay busy, because I believe that if Alicia had been a little bit more busy, I think she would have got her out of there. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. I believe that Amanda Serrano might need some more coaches. Amanda Shelton said Amanda also disrespected Devin Haney and Big Nick whooped her ass. Exactly. Like I said, everyone who might have a little melanin who went against the grain and disrespected other fighters on the behalf of a Jake Paul or on behalf of a lynching session in the media of our fighters, they're losing. All of them are coming up bad, and I love it because they are being forced to bear witness. And Shadisha Green beat Savannah Marshall. Now, family, we have to talk about some big things that are not being talked about a lot, okay? So we're going to get into that first. Two people have had Clarissa Shields' name in their mouth this weekend. And shout out to Shadisha Green. That was a very emotional post-interview for her. They talked about, her and her coach talked about, 20 years. 20 years. But shout out to Clarissa Shields. T-Rex Clarissa Shields, who said, I want to smoke with everybody. She told Franchise Cruz and Shadisha Green they both could get it. But let's take a look at this for a second. We're gonna stop sharing that. Okay. Let's see what the people had to say about the call out. Because Clarissa Shields, as soon as she was called out, she responded. All right, she responded to a few people.
I mean, I would love to fight Clarissa Shields, Of course, I want to go and rest or whatever, but I think that's the fight to be made. Clarissa Shields,
she gonna beat the fuck out of her.
It's we got a heavy stable over here, and it's a couple of people that can go up against Clarissa Shields that got the skills. But Savannah told me something today. I don't know.
Now, family, I don't know if you all are paying attention or not, but we might be in the works for one of the biggest super fights that women's boxing has seen in a long time. How do you all feel about a super fight at a catchweight between Shadisha Green and Clarissa Shields? How do you feel about that, and what do you think that would do for boxing, for women's boxing? If Shadisha Green, hard-hitting Green, and Clarissa T-Rex Shields made it happen. And yes, Green whooped Savannah. She whooped Savannah. Savannah don't want no more smoke for these sisters, I'm telling you. Universal truth, salute. I believe that if we can make this fight happen, if we can make Shadisha Green versus Clarissa Shields happen, family, I think the journey of the women's boxing future is going to look completely different from anything we have ever seen. We have not been this excited. And I don't believe this was talked about enough. I have not myself been this excited in a women's fight since I was a kid. And they were talking about Layla Ali versus Ann Wolfe, which is a fight that never happened. So we have to pay close attention to this. We need the best fights to happen. And of course, you have Jake Paul Of course, we have Jake Paul saying, hey, she's going to whoop Clarissa's ass. She's going to, and then she doubled down and said, we have a few ladies in our stable that would give Clarissa a run for her money. That is something I need to see. Peace to the Queen Shaquilla Fields. That is something I need to see. All right. So who else was talking about Clarissa Shields and we need to watch? We need to pay close attention to. Let's see.
What you got? Everybody's talking about it, and or in the boxing circle.
The rumor that I heard was that I said that unless somebody had 15, 20 million, don't even call me about this. That's all.
Turkey's had money. Turkey's gonna set this up. I know it.
Unless somebody calls me and says they have it, we're not even gonna have a conversation. I'm not trying to come back and fight someone off with that kind of money. I would actually have to think about it.
I'll talk to Turkey tonight.
Do I look like I can fight again?
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Family. Did you all hear Layla Ali? Did you hear what Layla Ali said? Press 1 if you saw what Layla Ali said to the reporter about fighting Clarissa. There is an overlay. What's playing right now? Bear with me, family. Bear with me.
King, man. Oh, wow. I'm getting a hug.
So I'm not even gonna replay that. But listen. Man, what is... I have so many clips I want to show you all. I see one of them keeps trying to play while I'm talking. So check it. So check, y'all. Did you see Layla Ali's face glitch when he said, hey, well, Turkey's got the money. Do you want to fight? And she was like, ain't nobody call me. Listen, family, don't let the money. You was a great fighter. But Clarissa Shields is not finna play with Layla Ali if she come back. But imagine that, family. We either got a future with Shadisha Green versus Clarissa Shields, or maybe a comeback fight for Layla Ali versus Clarissa Shields. What a time for boxing. What a time for boxing. Then, I mean, it was all kinds of smoke happening over the weekend. Did you all see Big Baby Miller confront Jared Anderson? Imagine that. Big Baby Miller and Jared Anderson. Heavyweight fight. New York. Man, listen, family. I'm overwhelmed with emotion. So Shadisha Green, she beat Savannah Marshall. Elisa Baumgartner, she does her thing against Jennifer Miranda. And Katie Taylor closes the chapter with Amanda Serrano. You know, there are levels to this. And I believe that Katie Taylor is just at this point, a level above her. That second fight, I do believe it was a little bit too much headbutting. And I believe Amanda Serrano might have been able to win that if that would have either been called right or she was able to do something about the headbutting. But hey, it is what it is. Battle of the Big Babies. That's going to be a crazy fight. All right. And let's talk about the fellas for a second, because the fellas, this fight is when you saw the unity that I'm speaking of. All of that running, all of that Tom and Jerry talk that people have been doing to disrespect black fighters over the last few weeks. Let's get into it. All the disrespect. Nobody had that same energy when it was time to be in front of these fighters. And we're going to call all of them out. But let's get into it. Edgar Berlanga gets stopped. Who saw that coming? Who saw that coming? He was stopped brutally. You know, beat on his feet, but he was on his way down. I believe based off of that fight, if you go watch the first round, I believe if Berlanga would have fought that way and just kept fighting that way, he would have did much better. But at some point, man, he just loses his game plan. He loses his focus, and then what happens. Matias won his fight. I believe Matias has a lot of talent, but they are really slow dragging his career. He's not a Shakur or a Devin Haney, and they need to get him some more fights so he maybe can have a shot at fights that he deserves. But he did his thing as well. And then, of course, Shakur beats Zepeda. He beats Zepeda. And there are a few people that I want to recognize that we need to talk about, okay? So Exhibit A, I want to talk about Ryan Garcia for a second, who felt the need to share his thoughts with us. Family, Ryan Garcia, he felt the need to tell us his thoughts. Ryan Garcia says Shakur didn't do any running tonight, but he also didn't fight a guy with power tonight. So I want to see him fight someone with some power and see what he does. Other than that, congrats, good work. Ryan Garcia, why do you feel? And number one, I thought you were going through mental health shit. I thought that you were trying to focus on your mental health, getting surgery on your hand. You're not really focusing on boxing right now. You need to take a year off from it. Why are you even speaking on any greatness that's going on in boxing right now? You should be preparing right now for your rematch with Devin the Dream Haney. But you are not. But you feel that this is the low character of this man. This man, he lets us know that it doesn't even matter to him that he was caught cheating. It doesn't even matter to him that he is a coward, that he is a spineless individual that tried to use the trafficking of children as promotion for the Devin Haney fight. The grape of people using him fighting for Mexican people when whole time since he lost, even before that, after he beat Devin Haney and it came out that he was cheating, he wasn't talking about the Mexican people anymore. He hasn't said anything about the ICE raids. So this is the type of spineless, gutless individual we're dealing with. Ryan Garcia says Shakur didn't do any running tonight. So then he insinuates and doubles down that you usually run, but you didn't run tonight. Patrice X30 says this is the same dude who got knocked down by Luke Campbell, who has no power. No power. And Shakur went in there and stood and fought with someone that has 27 knockouts. The boy hit hard. But see, when we have Negroes among us who are sick-minded and confused, this is what happens. This is what happens. You have people like Ryan Garcia. They feel emboldened to always speak on our greatness, to always say something about our fighters when something great is done. But one of the most beautiful sights of the fight is when the camera panned to where all of our fighters were sitting. You seen Yard, you seen Devin Haney, you seen all of our great fighters cheering for Shakur to do his thing. And for the first time, I felt there was some unity among our fighters, because they have all witnessed, even if they felt they could not speak on it, deep down inside, we have this ability as a people. We don't have to talk. It's almost like we have telepathic powers. We can give each other a look and say we know the BS that's going on. We understand the microaggressions. And let me say something to you non-white bigots. First of all, you don't have enough power to be a racist, so you are just a confused bigot. You think that if you hate us long enough, you will be to assimilate in the YT dominant society. Our ancestors and us have more experience with them than anybody else in the world. We know racism like the back of our hands. We know the microaggressions, the things that are being said in between the lines. So there's nothing that you can do that we don't already see coming. But this type of unity, we need to start seeing on a regular. We don't give a damn what you say about us. We are going to stand together, no matter what. So F. Ryan Garcia and anything he has to say. Anything he has to say. Devin Haney and what's his name? Richardson. Oh, Africa. They were getting into it. But you know what? They stopped themselves and did not take away from the moment. Like I said, there was a lot of smoke that happened over this weekend. But shout out to our fighters. And it's crazy that they've been talking about this Tom and Jerry BS, but look at the fighters who won. Look at the fighters who did their thing. And all of your fighters took a loss. All of your fighters in the prelims, one of Golden Boy's guys took a loss. Then Zepeda takes a loss. Right? Matias wins his fight. So what happened to all of that big bad brawling style that we love to see? You were beat by the sweet science in an amazing fashion. And I want to say something. I'm glad Shakur said this at the press conference, at the post-press conference. Shakur Stevenson said, you know, I'm not going to probably fight like that again because I took some unnecessary damage. But as soon as the fight was over, I went to social media and I saw what the next play was for these cowards. That's why I keep telling you all, these COINTELPRO boxing fans are an enemy to us. They immediately start trying to take away from the wins and from the win from Shakur Stevenson, saying that, well, Zepeda wasn't all that. I've seen some disgusting things that I want to show you all. This is why I wanted to talk about Shakur last. Because the biggest fight that shows our talent, that's when you see the most bigotry and cooning. So let's get into it. Now, before I play this video, I want you all to take a look at something. Take a look at this with your coach for a second. Now, family, I want you all to look at this real quick. Buffer class groups allowed to operate as an extension of the dominant society. Exactly. But people don't want to hear that. They think that they're just better than you. Patrice X30 said, I saw a white dude with thousands upvotes say this the type of fight we wanted to see. Shakur taking damage. Family, we cannot make this up. I cannot make this up. They pull for the other guy, and when they lose, they discredit them. I'm gonna show you how disgusting it gets. So you have a fight, a person say under the post press conference post, he says, "Great fight, Shakur. This should silence the critics. A win for the culture." Now check this out, family. He didn't say black culture. He didn't say whether he was talking about boxing culture. He just said a win for the culture and put a flex up. Boom. Right under that, someone says, yep, Viva Puerto Rico. So let me talk to that for a second. First, I want to say there's nothing wrong with you repping the Puerto Rican side of Shakur. But here's my issue. When we are being disrespected, when we are being attacked, where were you then? I did not see a bunch of Puerto Ricans defending the Tom and Jerry crap. When Shakur Stevenson was being disrespected at these press conferences and doing these interviews, I did not see one person saying Puerto Rican pride, Puerto Rican warrior, any of that. But then when he does his thing, now it's Viva Puerto Rico. Let me say this, and I know some people not going to like this. You do not get to take part in my accolades if you didn't want to fight with me in the field. Let me say it again. You don't get to exactly, Sheriff Dupie. Nobody from Shakur team had a flag. Where was the Puerto Rican with the Tom and Jerry? Exactly. You do not get to partake in the accolades and the celebration. When it was time to fight leading up, you were nowhere to be found. And do not tell me that there's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could have said. Because if somebody would have taken the Puerto Rican flag and thrown it on the ground, you all would have been there and did something. So don't tell me what you can't do. But you know what? I'm not going to go too hard on that. I'm not going to go too hard on that. But just check yourself. Just check yourself. Because what you do is when we get disrespected, when we get dragged, you get quiet. Anytime it looks like we are about to be lynched, you believe that if we just stay quiet, they won't come messing with us. But then when we do something great, now you want to take part in that talent. Now that's you. No. I'm going to tell you who your man was, and that was Belanga. That was your man repping Puerto Rico. That's who you all were repping. It wasn't Shakur. It wasn't Shakur. So then the next comment, and look at the hatred. This person is so lame that they made their name into a alter ego Devin Haney and says, F out of here with that culture BS. He's a boxer, period, regardless of race or color. Clown. So that's another trick that they do. We literally could write a book on the cowardice and spinelessness of these race fans, these COINTELPRO boxing fans. They have so many tricks and so many different ways to try to either discredit you or make it not about what it is. You all say it's about boxing, period. But when you all were talking Tom and Jerry, that wasn't about boxing, period. You were talking about elite black fighters. If it was about boxing, period, you all would condemn the PED users. but you don't. But you don't. So basically, they can disrespect us as a whole. You all can talk crap about and drag Devin Haney, drag Shakur, drag any fighter that gets in trouble, like Tank just got in trouble, right? But then we are not to say anything about your fighters. Not only that, when our fighters do something great and you don't even, and you just say good for the culture, it bothers these devils so much that they want to tell you race has nothing to do with it. Wait a minute. After you all have been being racist for the past few months, you have been bigots for the past few months. You have booed, dragged, yelled out the N-word at every single one of our fighters that have come to New York when fighting a Mexican or a Puerto Rican. Now it's not about color. Now it's not about race. So I am happy. I am so glad. I am so glad to see our fighters in unity, rooting for Shakur and putting their differences to the side. A lot of people didn't even realize that Devin Haney and Brian Orman Jr. were sitting in the same section, no issues. David Round should have never fought that Russian drug cheat either. Of course not, but you know they're not going to talk about it like it's big news. One of the tricks they're trying to pull right now is all of them do it. That's the new deal they're going to do, y'all. They're going to come among us like they're our friends and say, yeah, man, you know, all the pros are doing it. All the pros are taking PEDs. So watch, they're not even going to get in trouble as much, the ones who are fighting us. Peace to the sister Kamara Fields. So as long as you can hurt a black fighter, we don't mind if you get a little edge. But if one of our fighters get in trouble, it's front page news. So this is what these people do. They talk so much crap. And then when we prove them wrong, they disappear. But we know that you are watching. We know you are being forced to watch and you are being forced to bear witness. Shakur Stevenson stood in there and forced you to bear witness to the greatness. Yes, the energy was off the chain with all the black fighters that was there. No drama, no nothing. See, you all think that you can keep disrespecting us and that our fighters aren't peeping what's going on. And I promise you, not one racist or bigot went over to where them fighters was and said a damn thing. All that hot stuff y'all be talking on social media, you all didn't approach none of that smoke over there. You got Devin Haney. You got Bit Baby Miller. You got Jared Anderson. The only person that was missing was the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder. But that's the energy I felt. That's the energy I felt. And nobody was going against each other. They knew what time it was. And there are people that we need to watch and keep our eye on. Third round, Zepeda hits Shakur on his glove to the body and rocks him a little bit. Doesn't hurt him, but it knocks Shakur off of his stance. And you hear Tar over there yelling, he's hurt, he's hurt. Brother, as disgusting as your character is, it really is disheartening because you are someone we look at as one of our great fighters. But every single chance you get, you show us that we cannot trust you, brother. Tim Bradley, you show us every chance you get, we cannot trust you. Queen Tay, salute. I am great. I'm doing good. I'm feeling good about this great weekend of boxing we just had. And I want you all to pay attention to this. because this is the last time I'm going to talk about Radio Raheem. I want you all to look at this for a second, because there is a trick that is about to happen. And if we are not careful, we're going to fall for it. So let me share this with the family for a second.
You kept telling me, you got to look at Abdullah, the undercard. Have you seen the Abdullah fight? You know what I mean? Like, I watched the main event, I watched the co-mains, and I was skipping through your fights, not intentionally, but not knowing that I was missing a star on the undercard. So shout out to Sean Tell. And as soon as I actually took that advice and started reviewing your career and your fights, I'm amazed. I was, taken by what you're able to do in there, and see you on a bigger stage in a big city on a massive card. I mean,
now, family, you might say to yourself, well, coach, ain't nothing wrong with that. Radio Raheem is giving Abdullah Mason, a great upcoming star, his props. And he gives a shout out to Sean Zattel, who says that Radio Raheem says, Sean Zattel told me to take a look at you. Really? Okay. So you want me to believe that Sean Zattel had to tell you about Abdullah Mason, and then you try to boost up Sean Zattel. Now, pay close attention. Pay very close attention to this COINTELPRO boxing journalist. Remember, a COINTELPRO agent wants us to give them our trust, so the people they speak for, we deem them okay. Just like the way law enforcement use a undercover agent to set you up, get your trust, and then they introduce you to the one that's actually going to set you up. Now, some might say, well, this is a reach, coach. Well, I found something for you, family. I found an interview that I'm going to give you the information to, and I want you to watch it yourself. And in this interview, Sean Zattel and Radio Raheem are having a conversation about Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. Matter of fact, I want to give you all the titles so you can look at it yourselves. There it is right there. Beautiful. You don't get any better than that. Now, family, I want you to do some homework, all right? Sometime today, I want you all to go and I want you all to watch this interview. Now, I usually would not post something like this because I wouldn't want him to have the views or the subscription. But you all need to see what you're dealing with. In this video, first off, Radio Raheem tells Sean Zattel that Teofimo Lopez is not really a racist. He's a fake racist because he's always nice to me when he sees me. Okay? But then Sean Zattel tries to double down and says, well, regardless of all that N-word stuff, you have to feel where Tio's coming from. Tio, and this was the defense, Sean Zattel says that Teofimo, all of this started because he had to share Fighter of the Year with Tyson Fury. And basically, he was insinuating that if he was getting the glorification that he should, he would not be doing this. He would have a better fan base. And then instead of Radio Raheem completely destroying that narrative, Radio Raheem says, well, No, he's messing up his opportunities because of the rhetoric, the racist rhetoric he keeps using to try to promote himself. And they continue to drag Devin Haney in this interview as well. And then there's an interview 4 years before this. 4 years before this, where Sean Zattel is sitting down calling Devin Haney the next great pound for pound champion. So you were either lying then or you were lying now. You all keep falling for the same trick. You were either lying then or lying now. Now let's get into these damn devils. This is why I wanted to show you this last. We allowed them to disrespect us and be hateful and be liars and be snakes, and then we keep allowing them to stay. What did I tell you all a few weeks? I told you I will not lie to you about these prophetic messages about these Sambo-minded, hateful, spineless, handkerchief head Negroes. I told you that some of these guys that smile in our face, like Sean Zattel, they're going to show you every single time that they are future Jim Lampleys and Larry Merchants. So which one is it? I don't have to lie on these people. And this is the last time I'm speaking on them too. Because moving forward, whatever happens is on y'all. Whatever happens with people that keep allowing them among them, that's on them. Because they keep showing you who they are. After Wilder had to check Radio Raheem, the brothers should have put him on PC time. The brothers should have said, brother, you can't come among us for a protracted amount of time. Because, brother, we can't trust you. Now, who's talking about whose platform is growing faster right now? Is it Sean Porter's or Sean Zattel's? And who allowed Sean through the door? Who allowed Sean to have a little bit too much say on certain things? And listen, you can have your own opinion, but there's consequences behind the things that you say. There are consequences behind the things that you say. Yo, people. That's right. That's right, Mac. He said, yo, people. When Radio Raheem was talking to Wilder and he said, yo, people, it should have been a protracted amount of time. But look what has happened, family. They have witnessed, and the elites in boxing are witnessing, that the racist propaganda they thought were going to bring them money, it's not working. So now they're all trying to get back behind the train of great boxing, because they are realizing that not only do black elite fighters move the sport forward, but now you have Turkey, who is ready to give as much money that's needed to make the fights happen. Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney is going to be the most talked about fight for the next few months. And when I saw the press conference and them facing off, I said, man, this is the casual boxing fans and the race fans' worst nightmare. This is their worst nightmare. Because once this fight is put on, a fight that David Benavidez and another brother is on the card as well, the trick they had from the beginning, because they've tried us 2 times, family. First, it was the Great White Hope. After decades and decades, they saw that was not going to work. Then it was, well, let's get the Spaniard-looking racist Mexican to take it over. And they saw that that's not working either. Because the thing about a bigot, the thing about them cowardly characteristics is in them. And it doesn't work in the sport of boxing. Plain and simple. So you have to be careful who you align yourselves with. And we have to be careful for the fighters that we speak on. We have to be careful for the fighters that we say, right on, brother, you good with us. Look at what has happened, family. So what I realize is that our fighters don't owe these people anything. Shout out to Shakur Stevenson, but to our brothers, you don't have to do that again. Because what you all need to realize is they are not going to be happy until they see you defeated. They are not going to be happy until they see a foot on your chest or a foot on your neck, or you knocked out, or you beat down like a bloody Wilder. That's when they will be satisfied. That is when they will be happy. Disgusting behavior right after the victory. Every fighter that won, these devils came out the woodwork, didn't they? I seen another post. Now watch how disgusting this is, family. There was another post on Facebook that said, by boxing only full fights. This is what they said. Salute to my brother, Drew Titan. Hold on, family. Let's see. Let me see how I move that up. Family, I swear I'm going to get this down. Okay. Sheldon LDBC said, I asked a Devin Haney hater that's now a fan of Brian Norman Jr. to name 2 fights Brian Norman Jr. has been in and got crickets. I know you did. I know you got crickets because he's not a real Brian Norman Jr. fan. He is just a Devin Haney hater. That's all. But see, what you all have to remember is when you drop a roach bomb in a roach-infested home, they run to anywhere they can find a hiding place, anywhere they can seek refuge. These casual boxing fans and race fans who are being forced to bear witness, they are like those roaches. They are trying to find a place of refuge. So they hop on to any fighter that is going to be a threat or what they feel will be the future demise of the black fighter that they hate. But family, let me share this message with you from this post. Listen to how disgusting this is. The post says, Shakur Stevenson proved his doubters wrong. He doesn't just run, he fights. We can stop right there. So, like a devil, cloaked in brightness and light, the devil comes with a compliment and a smile on his face like a snake in the garden. I told you it's Sunday, so let's get into it. Like a devil and like a snake, to get someone and knock them off of their straight path and their righteous future, I must come to them as seeming good. I must come to them as a brother or a helper to get their trust. So I start off with a compliment. Now I'm giving you lessons one-on-one on how a spineless devil works. The devil says, Shakur Stevenson proved his doubters wrong, so I've got your attention. I've got your attention and you believe that I'm with you. I've got your attention and you believe I'm with the brotherhood. That's right, Sheldon LDBC, a backhanded compliment wrapped in a microaggression, a backhanded compliment wrapped in an insult, really. Then the person says he doesn't just run, he fights. So the whole thing goes, Shakur Stevenson proved his doubters wrong. He doesn't just run, he fights. So even after the victory, even after Shakur stands in front of him and does everything he's supposed to do, this devil comes out and says he doesn't just run. So I click on the post and I see there are about 300 trolls on the post laughing. And they all are of a similar background. Can you guess who most of the people who laugh are? So even in his victory, you still can't give him his props. That is why our fighters don't ever have to do this again. You box. You force them to change. You force them to learn how to cut off the ring. And listen, Zepeda actually did a good job of cutting off the ring, but he still could not get the job finished because Shakur Stevenson's boxing IQ was that much greater than Zepeda's. Salute to the sensei, to the great master teacher, Stormy B-Man. Listen, family. When Zepeda got Shakur on the ropes, well, you all don't understand. What the casual boxing fan doesn't understand is hitting and moving around is just one of his weapons, of Shakur's weapons. Shakur has enough boxing IQ. He can stand there in the pocket, catch and shoot, and still beat your man. So if the great hard-hitting Mexican fighter Zepeda knows how to cut off the ring, but only knows how to brawl once he cuts off the ring and not actually set things up, he's still going to be beat. Patrice X30, you are right and exact. No more standing flat-footed to make them feel better about having less skills than us, because these devils don't change. That's the point I need the people to understand. They do not change. You cannot reform a devil. You cannot reform a coward. Something has to happen, and they have to have the own drive to change their own heart. It is not up to us, and you fighters need to understand it's not up to you. It just isn't. So now, and don't fall for the trick, family. Do not fall for the trick. Because this is what's about to happen. When it looked like Devin Haney was down, Wilder was down, you got Ryan Garcia saying racist crap, you got Teofimo saying racist crap, all of the race fans were emboldened. They were emboldened to come out against us and be loud about it. They were emboldened to disrespect our fighters in crazy fashion. So people who are, critiquing Shakur about this and that, let me tell you something. Shakur, you ain't got to do nothing but stay great and stay black. Put God first, stay great and stay black. You don't have to do anything else to appease these people, because Shakur, if you have not learned anything else, they only are going to be with you, the people you are trying to impress, when you are going against a black man. Let me say it again. Shakur, the people you are trying to please, they have not cheered for you since you jumped in the ring after the Loma fight and disrespected your black brother, Devin the Dream Haney. So look at these haters, y'all. Let me show you how sick they are. Patrice, great point. You can't reform something created out of a seed of jealousy. Sharif, when Kerr was in the corner, Zepeda was throwing all them shots and wasn't landing too much of nothing, to where his fans was like, you have to switch it up. That's not working. Say it again. You have to switch it up. That's not working. So what did they mean by that? What did they mean by you have to switch it up? That's not working. That meant you need to box. You need to what? You need to box. You mean this brawling shit ain't working, so I need to box? Yeah. You need to do what these elite black fighters do. And that's the sweet science. That's hitting and not getting hit. World famous words of Mr. Clark. I ain't got to do nothing but stay black and die. That's what he said. I ain't got to do a damn thing but stay black and die. So they are only happy when you lose. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people that gave him his props because he took a little damage and still won. But why we got to do that? Why can't we fight the good, smart fight, come out on top and keep it moving like a Loma? How come we can't hit and not get hit? How come we can't put on performances like Bivol versus Canelo and fight from the outside, damage him with straight shots, and not stand in the pocket with him and come out on top? But they didn't drag Bivol for putting on they said he put on a master class. Right? How come Floyd has to stand there and take damage from Madonna, and then he puts on a master class the second fight? But that's still not good enough because he's not taking enough damage. Family, you have to read in between the lines and what they are saying. They are saying that the lynching of you is not good enough for them. They want to see a Rodney King beating of you before they are happy and satisfied with their bloodthirst, until the appetite of their bloodthirst is quenched. It ain't even about boxing. So you have people on post saying it's not about culture. It's about boxing. It's not about race. It's about boxing. These are devils, people. We are dealing with COINTELPRO boxing fans, race fans, casual fans, and devils all through the sport, and they're all related. They're all related. And for those of you that just came in and you're wondering why is this interview of Sean Zattel and Radio Raheem up, is because I need you to see. I need you to see the hypocrisy of what's going on. And this is my last time talking about these two, because I put the warning out there. I don't care how much boxing a person talks. When they say certain things, it lets you know what their motive really is. Patrice X30 said, the plan is to trick us into flat-footedness, then load the gloves like Robert Garcia used to do with Madonna. But you see, Patrice X30, they tried to tell me on our Brother Drew Titans channel that they had nothing to do with each other. But on my last live, if you all go watch my last live, I picked up information from 16 years ago and I connected all the dots. Do you think there will ever be investigation into that? Seriously, no. Do you ever think Sean Porter is going to talk about that on his platform? No. Now go watch the interview where Sean Porter says to Sean Zattel, "Oh, you're coming up with your own podcast? That's what's up, bro. That's what's up." See, some of you brothers are never going to get tired of being the footstool for our opposition. You're never going to get tired for being the footstool and the breast that people suck on to get their black resources to propel them into the stratosphere of being around black excellence in boxing and then turning against us. Disgusting behavior. Patrice X30 said, remember when crowd went into a frenzy when they saw Floyd bleeding from the nose against Cotto? Bloodthirsty devils. Family, let that sizzle in your spirit for a second. Go back. This is why, family, when our teacher, our sensei, Stormy B-Man, says certain things about boxing in history, you need to download it and go see. Because if you don't know the history, you're going to repeat the same mistake. So like Patrice just pointed out, family, go back and watch Cotto versus Floyd. Go back and watch it. You see, when Floyd, you got to know the difference. When Floyd was hitting that shoulder roll and hitting Cotto off the ropes and he was catching and shooting and countering hard, the crowd was saying, ooh. They were saying, ooh, like, damn, ooh, you getting hit. But when Floyd started bleeding, that's when they started losing their minds. Bloodthirst. Bloodthirst. Stormy B-Man says, how come Farmer couldn't secure the same decision in the first fight when he handled Zepeda before last night? That is a great question, teacher. That is a great question. So what we have to do is we have to start taking this knowledge, family. Because what we're seeing right now is we are seeing the rise again of supreme great boxing, and it's moving the sport forward. Everyone that make money with us is not our ally. There's an old interview of Denzel Washington talking about how Hollywood did not start effing with us until they saw that they could make a check off of movies we could do with a little dollar amount. Now, stay with me, family. Stay with me. Because we can learn from our mistakes, even if it's not in boxing. So Spike Lee, he does Malcolm X, he does Do the Right Thing, and he does it with a smaller budget than Hollywood would ever have done with movies that big. So Hollywood execs say, you know what? We're going to get into this black film business. At around the same time, Ice Cube shows that with a limited budget, he can do movies like Friday. Watch this, family. Right around that time, they started calling Ice Cube anti-Semitic. We keep falling for the same trick. Now, instead of our brothers coming together and saying, you know what? We're not going to F with Hollywood. We're just going to create our own Hollywood and keep building on the platform and the foundation that is already present. People talk about Tyler Perry having his own studio. Family, Robert Townsend had his own film studio 30 years ago and produced some great movies from his own studio 30 years ago. But our people did not do that. A lot of our people still wanted to get that Oscar. A lot of our people still wanted to be recognized by them. Salute, Felix Nunez. Welcome in. So you say, well, Coach, how does that relate to boxing? How does it relate? Over the last, Hollywood shuffle. How does it relate to boxing? What we have to understand is, we have forces that have to keep us divided. So let's connect the dots. We have all of the grand old man Klansmen being called back into boxing. And there are some people that don't understand why. They are trying to bring back the time of boxing that we felt in the early 90s, where we had fights almost 3 to 4 times a week. We had at least maybe 2 big pay-per-view fights a month, and boxing was doing its thing. And now that they see that the racism in boxing is not going to pay what they thought it was going to pay, they want to get back behind the elite black fighter. This is what it comes down to. Okay? Because if it was really about boxing, David Benavidez would have been propelled to where he should be. And isn't it nasty that it takes a foreigner to get into the business for David Benavidez to get the fights that he should have gotten 10 years ago? Disgusting behavior. So you have journalists coming up now, and you have brothers like Radio Raheem bigging them up. Now ask yourself, family, ask yourself this. When have you ever seen Radio Raheem big up any black media journalist saying that they gave him some information he did not know? Name one time he's done that. Name one time Radio Raheem has big up a black media journalist saying he got some information from them. Think of one time Radio Raheem has given a shout out to information he know he got from the LDBC, from information he know he got from Champside, from information he know he got from Black Boxing Media on YouTube. He has never done that, but he gets up in Abdullah Mason's face and says, I got to big up Sean Zattel because I didn't know about you. I wasn't following you. Sean Zattel put me on. So a young brother like Abdullah Mason, who might not really be aware of who Sean Zattel is and have the information that I'm showing you, he now is introduced to this man as an ally. He is not an ally. And I want to make it ever so plain because this is my last time talking about Sean Zattel or Radio Raheem. These are agents of chaos. Radio Raheem is an agent of chaos. And I'm going to qualify what I say. Go back and watch this interview. I'm not making this shit up. Go back and watch this interview of Radio Raheem trying to tell Sean Zattel about Teofimo not being a real racist. And Sean Zattel trying to tell us where Teofimo Lopez frustrations come from. Just think of the arrogance. Just think of the arrogance a person has to have that isn't black to try to tell a black man who is telling him about what's going on. But this is what happens when you let somebody come in your house, take their shoes off, put their feet on your couch, rub their balls all over your furniture, and you don't say nothing. That's right. Now check it. Patrice X30 said Turkey could choose anybody but purposely brought back the racist Lampley and sellout Tarver. Turkey showing who he is if we paying attention. Now check this out, family. It's deeper than that. See, I've had this conversation with some of my brothers who live in Africa, who have a different history with dealing with racism and colonization and things like that. And of course, white supremacy, all of that, it has its parts in the whole world. Okay? But Turkey is not a black American. And what we have to realize is there are other people in the black diaspora who we have to sit down and explain things to that don't even know. Example, you have immigrants that don't know what the 1965 immigration bill is. You have some of them that do not know that black Americans fought because the only immigrants that were being allowed in America at the time were European ones. But you have young second, third generation Americans who are descendants of these immigrants who have fallen for the propaganda that we're lazy, that we don't have culture, because they are not educated properly in that culture. Because the culture that I'm speaking of, we do not get in school. If you are not around black essence a real black family, you might not be taught that. Okay. And the big difference is like when no matter whether a Mexican child grows up in Mexico or America, they are taught their nation pride and racial pride as a child. All right. We have a lot of division, a lot of tribal ideas. And I say all that to bring it back around to Turkey. Whoever it is, Turkey has some people, because he's not making all of these decisions by himself. Turkey has a bag and it's like, yo, all right, well, who's the best? But he has somebody in his ear. Now, whether that person is a black American or a white American, he has an American liaison who, without a shadow of a doubt, I know is either a self-hating Negro, a bigoted Mexican, or a bigoted white person. I know that without the shadow of a doubt, because Turkey has made some moves that are culturally insensitive a few times. He has made some moves and not spoken against the PED situation, not once. Not once. So, family, like I said, while I wrap this up, we have had a great weekend of boxing, but these people who are trying to act like they were not doing what they were doing over the last year, I will never forget how they drug our brother Devin Haney and Bill Haney over the last year. I will never forget that shit. I will never forget it. Our own brothers and these devils among us, I will never forget it. So now that we have our top elite black fighters fighting again and getting the fights they need to get to show that they are great, I will never forget the part that a lot of you played. I know ain't none of you in here unless you just watching and not saying anything. But I'll never forget you. And this brother, Radio Raheem, this is my last time speaking on him. Family, I put it on your hands now. You need to speak this truth. When you are in these chats throughout the week, you speak the truth. Because my hands are clean of these two. When brothers, listen, and you don't have to be ugly to your brother. Listen, if your brother bring this man name up, whether it's Radio Raheem or Sean Zattel, send them this video. Send them this video and tell them, don't watch clips, watch the whole thing. Watch the whole damn thing. And really, what we need to do is start screen recording some of these, because what's going to happen is the bigger their following gets, and you bring these things up, they're going to start deleting these videos. Yeah. Because see, now watch this, y'all. This is why I say our elders like Stormy B Man is so important. When he tells us to go look up certain things, what's his name? I'm tripping. All right, when Marvin Hagler was overseas and he went against the UK world champ, the UK world champion, and that man said, no black man, no Negro will beat a white Englishman and take my title. When Marvin Hagler beat that man, there was a race riot. They tried to unalive Marvin Hagler. And the video is on YouTube. Well, what they did is, as soon as the bottles and everything starts getting thrown into the ring, they literally erased the rest of what happened from history. They literally removed that whole clip. Like what happens right after that, they removed it. But if I'm sure somebody somewhere has the full video. But family, this is what these devils are going to do when they get exposed. See, this is the Lord's day, so I have to point out this enemy and his tricks so you may be protected from the enemy and the tricks of the devil. Think about it, family. Every time the enemy is spoken about in the good book, how does a devil or a demon react? It always tries to run out. It always tries to run out and jump into somebody else, or it goes and gets other evil to come back 7 times stronger. So the old tricks that we understand now, the microaggressions of a Max Kellerman, of a Larry Merchant, of a Jim Lampley, who know a lot of boxing knowledge, but the devil knows the Bible. So that don't mean nothing just because you have the information. When times get rough and it's time for us to see that you are an ally or an enemy, then I'm going to see your motive. So any brothers that speak up for these two on this screen, you tell your brother, hey, brother, I'm not trying to tell you who to like and who not to like, but you as a black man, you as a black woman, you need to go watch this full interview. You need to go watch it. So, family, shout out to our ladies in the sport of boxing. I got to give a big shout out to Shadisha Green. I hope we can see a super fight between her and Clarissa Shields at a catch weight. Shout out to our brother Shakur Stevenson and all of our black family who were unified, sitting together, not acting a fool, and supporting our young brother. And to our fighters, you don't have to take punishment for nobody because they're never going to give you your props, plain and simple. I'm pretty sure a lot of the other truth tellers are going to be speaking today. So shout out, first of all, to my brother, Drew Titan, the reason why Coach Hudson has a channel, period. Shout out to the queen of boxing media, Sugar Free Mars. Shout out to our brother, Champside. Shout out to the General, 78 Sports TV, and the Queen Shawa. Shout out to our teacher and sensei, the brother Stormy B-Man. And anybody I forget, it's not on purpose, but shout out to you if you are speaking the truth. I cannot wait to see the truth that our brothers and sisters are going to bring throughout the week and including today, because I know they are going to cook, because the energy that I just felt last night from our family and our fighters, I know is going to vibrate throughout the whole family and the whole black diaspora. Just like the weekend of Wilder, when Wilder just won, I already knew, and the whole family was cooking the rest of that weekend, and we are about to experience it again. Truth always casts out falsehood every single time. A lie can only last so long, and I'm so happy that many of us did not give up, and we have been speaking and standing up on the truth this whole time. And to you homogenized, spineless, cowardly, handkerchief-held Negroes among us, you have to change your ways or get ran over and stepped on. God bless the mighty LDBC. God bless all of you that came in. Patrice X30, my brother Steph Brown, my brother Sharif. Let me see if I can go up a little bit. Oh, the Queen Shaquilla Fields, always having the brothers back. Shout out to all of you. My brother Stormy B-Man came through. Queen Tay-Tay came through. Shout out to the family. Family, I'm probably going to catch you in somebody else's chat, giving a good salute or cooking on the panel. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. God is good. Shout out to the Lord, to the hills which cometh my strength. And I'm going to catch y'all next time. Peace to the family. Shout out to my comrades. And as always, smoke to the COINTELPRO boxing fan. Peace.